Hi, this is Kumar Jaramdas, your licensed real estate instructor with the Lutz School of Real Estate. And today we're going to talk about what is the practice of real estate. So, real estate and the practice of real estate is regulated in all 50 states in the United States of America. And today we're going to talk about what is the practice of real estate in the state of Florida. And before we start, just so you know, real estate is regulated by every state. Every state's a little bit different. Every state considers real estate transactions just a little differently. So this is only accurate for the state of Florida as of the time of this recording in 2024. So with that said, I'm also going to add that this YouTube video is just for education and entertainment purposes. This is not legal advice. And if you have any legal questions about a real or imagined situation, it's important that you consult your licensed real estate agent and more importantly, your state licensed attorney if you have any legal questions, especially if they pertain to real estate. Okay. With that said, we're going to go into, if I can share my screen, we're going to talk about what the practice of real estate is in Florida. All right. So what is the practice of real estate in Florida? The 8 services of real estate that require a license. So these 8 services of real estate all require a license in Florida. And by the way, those of you that are studying for the real estate exam in Florida, this is always on the exam. And this comes straight from Florida Statutes 475. And all of these 8 involve any type of compensation. So any of these 8 activities that involve compensation of any kind, whether it be a commission, money, even dinner and a movie, any type of compensation that's involved with these activities requires a license, and it's considered the practice of real estate. Performing any of these activities for another person is also considered the practice of real estate and requires a license. So when we go over these 8 things, these 8 activities, we have to think that they have to involve compensation and that they are performed on behalf of another person. There are exceptions. There are a lot of exceptions, and that's not what we're going to talk about today. We'll actually talk about that in a different YouTube video. Okay, so when we're talking about what are these 8 activities of real estate that require a license, the acronym that we're going to remember is called a bar sale, ABARSALE. And you can come up with your own acronym if you want, but a bar sale is the one that's most commonly used and known in real estate. Okay, so the first one is A for advertise. Anytime you advertise or you market or you list real estate or you're advertising real estate services, you are practicing real estate. And remember, this is according to Florida statutes. This is not according to me. So if you're advertising property, if you're advertising real estate, that means listing, that means marketing, that means advertising. It is very important that you do not practice real estate without a license. Now, if it's your own home, if you are marketing, advertising your own home, you're allowed to do that because it's your own home. It's your own property. But if it's for somebody else, you cannot advertise, market, or list real estate without a license. So, uh, and so, and remember, that's also for compensation. So you can't advertise, market, list real estate or real estate services on behalf of someone else for any type of compensation without a license. So this includes if your friend wants to help you list your property or market or advertise your property, and you want to pay them a little something, then they have practiced real estate without a license. Okay, so number two, you cannot buy real estate on behalf of someone else for any type of compensation without a real estate license. And there are exceptions. We will go over those exceptions in another video. Appraisal. You cannot appraise real estate property for compensation on behalf of someone else without a license. This is called the practice of real estate when it is a non-federal transaction. We're going to talk about what is it called when you appraise real estate for a federal transaction. And by the way, real estate agents, those who have a license to practice real estate, we are not appraisers. And I'll talk about that in a minute. All right, the fourth one, but we can perform some appraisals, not for federal transactions. Okay, number four, rent. A person who is renting real estate or providing rental information on behalf of someone else for some type of uh, con uh, um, some type of compensation, that's called the practice of real estate. If you sell real estate on behalf of someone else for compensation, this is the practice of real estate. That one's pretty clear, I think. If you are auctioning real estate for compensation on behalf of someone else, you are practicing real estate. Now, you are practicing real estate. However, you're also practicing auctioneering as well. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. All right. So leasing real estate. If you are leasing real estate on behalf of someone else for some type of compensation, then you're practicing real estate. And then there are some exceptions. And then exchange. If you are participating in like a 1031 exchange and you're helping two parties exchange real estate on behalf of those parties or one party for compensation, then you are practicing real estate according to Florida statutes. So a bar sale, advertising, buying, appraising, renting, selling, auctioning, leasing, and exchanging. These 8 are called the 8 activities of real estate that require a license in the state of Florida. Those of you that are taking the real estate licensing exam, you will absolutely have to know these 8 things. And they're in no particular order. Okay, so I said we were going to talk about a few other items, and here they are. Auctions may require an auctioneer license. They frequently do. So if you're trying to auction real estate, not only do you have to have a real estate license, but you have to have an auctioneer license. That is a licensed profession in the state of Florida. Federal appraisers require an appraiser's license. So real estate appraisals are conducted by a licensed real estate appraiser. And there are real estate appraisers that can appraise residential property, and then there are those that can appraise commercial property or both. And so as a licensed real estate agent, you are permitted by law to perform appraisals, but you are not an appraiser. And what you've performed is not a formal appraisal utilizing the national guidelines that a formally trained appraiser has to follow. And licensed real estate agents may never perform any type of appraisal activity for any national or federal transactions. So if someone's buying a home and they want you to appraise the home as an agent, and one of the loan products is a national loan or federal loan product, as a licensed real estate agent, you cannot perform any type of appraisal activity there. You will have to acquire a licensed appraiser. All right. And real estate appraisal, that is a separate profession with a separate licensure, separate training in the state of Florida. And then the third thing is that property managers for community associations in which there are 10 units or more, or when the community's budget exceeds $100,000 a year, this type of activity in these communities, any type of property management in these communities requires a licensed community association manager, LCAM license. That is a separate profession, state of Florida, with a separate license and separate training. I myself am licensed as a community association manager as well as a licensed real estate agent in Florida. Okay, so what happens if somebody is practicing real estate without a license? We just said those 8 activities, a bar sale, those 8 activities, if you practice one or more of them in Florida on behalf of someone else without a license, and you do this for some type of compensation, you're practicing real estate without a license. And Florida statutes 470, chapter 475, 775 describe that such practice is a third-degree felony and they're criminal violations. And for each act, so every single act, up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine for each act, and each a third-degree felony for each act. The FREC, which is the Florida Real Estate Commission, they may impose other fines as well for those that are licensed. So if you're licensed as a real estate agent and your license has lapsed and you try to practice any of the 8 activities of real estate, then you're practicing real estate without a license. Very important to keep that in mind. Okay, so that was our brief explanation on what is the practice of real estate in Florida, the 8 activities of real estate in Florida that require a license. There are exceptions, which we'll go over in another YouTube video. And if you have any interest in practicing real estate in Florida, if you're from another state, you're an agent in another state, or you're unlicensed and you would like to get licensed, or if you're a real estate agent and you just want to gain some more continuing education or professional development, if you're a real estate investor, or if you're a home buyer and home seller, you just want some more information, please go to www.luteschool.realestate, and we're happy to provide you all kinds of education, lots of resources on that website as well, and also a detailed description, step by step, of how you can become a licensed real estate agent in Florida. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Lutz School of Real Estate YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. Please tell your colleagues, your friends about the channel, especially if they want to learn about real estate. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much.